I'm Ash, and this is Chai and Matcha, where we try to have meaningful conversations around personal development, pop culture, mental health, the Desi community, and so much more. If you're into that kind of stuff, or you just need someone to accompany you on your commute, or if you're drinking your chai of the day, I hope you'll follow, comment, subscribe, rate, all that jazz. I'd highly appreciate it. So this is my second episode, and today we're talking about something that I feel like genuinely is the best thing that someone can do for their lives today in the world of social media and globalization and all of that fun stuff. Is genuinely, I think that we all need to have a better and more international mindset. We need to take ourselves out of our towns, our cities, our countries, and look at ourselves in a broader perspective and what we can sort of offer into the world as a whole. In general, just having more of an international mindset. So, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can sort of go about doing this. Some of them are long-term and therefore require more of a higher investment, while those other things are a lot more short-term and don't require that much of an investment. But honestly, like, you can do this like from the comfort of your own home. You could do this like if you want to go out into the world and do that too. Both of them work. Some of them are a little more effective than others, but like, yeah. Anyways, so I wanted to start off by just talking about why I think having international mindset is so like crucial in today's world. I think for me, at least what I've seen is that from the reason why we have a lot of the problems we do today, including racism or sexism, discrimination of any sort, is because we are so trapped within our little communities or different worlds where like we don't see the rest of the world, and yet we aren't able to empathize with other people, or we're not able to sort of understand where other people's cultures are and like all of that, which is the reason why I think we have a lot of the conflicts that we do today. So I think that's why an international mindset is so key in today's day and age, because I think it truly bridges the gap to sort of reduce discrimination in general, you know. And again, I'm not talking about just race. I'm talking about racism, sexism, like homophobia, like, the LGBTQ community, anything. Like, also when it comes to neurodiversity, mental health issues, all of that I think is just like not being aware of different things, not being aware of what the world has in store for everyone. And so that's sort of why I think like an international mindset, or just a diverse mindset, is so key in terms of like reducing and bridging that gap. So, the first thing that I think is try to incorporate, if you're able to do so, incorporate an international education. You can start off, like, there's a lot of schools these days that sort of prioritize their diversity in their schools, or try to get more international people in their schools, and that is so like beneficial at a very young age. If you're able to do that for your child, if you're able to do that for yourself, I guess too, that is so key. I remember going to one of these like my entire life. I've been to an international school my entire life, and like it wasn't so I guess it wasn't like marketed as such, but like we just had so many people from different places of the world, and I can't believe that I'm so like that's something that I definitely took for granted as a kid, but now that I've grown up, I've realized that it's not very common, and yet it is so beneficial. Like if you are able to do that, highly recommend. It's also definitely one of the things that I think that we need to push more for in public school systems or anything. It's like more so like celebrating diversity, celebrating cultures, and celebrating other people in general. Anyways, yeah, so like definitely one of them is an international school, because like I think you were able to have these like discussions about diversity and cultures and stuff in a very safe environment at a very young age, and you're sort of taught at a very young age that having an international like community or an international environment is very normal, which is, I think, going to increasingly get more so like that. You know, if you are on social media, you're not only going to see like posts from people in your city, like, you know, it might be the case, it might be the majority, but like the rest of the world is also on that app, and like there is such a big community on there that if you connect with people from all over the world, it's genuinely going to make your life so much better and so much like easier and just like more fulfilling in general. So I was reading this book called The Coddling of the American Mind by Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt. I think that's how it's pronounced, but he was basically quoting this progressive activist called Van Jones, who in his book, and they said, this is specifically in college campuses, but I think it applies sort of everywhere, which is there are two ideas about safe spaces. One is a very good idea, and one is a terrible idea. The idea of being physically safe on a campus, not being subjected to sexual harassment and physical abuse, or being targeted specifically, personally, for some kind of hate speech, like you're an N-word or whatever, I'm perfectly fine with that. But there's another view that is now, I think, ascendant, which I think is just a horrible view, which is that I need to be safe ideologically. I need to be safe emotionally. I just need to feel good all the time. And if somebody says something that I don't like, that's a problem for everybody else, including the university administration. I don't want you to be safe ideologically. I don't want you to be safe emotionally. I want you to be strong. That's different. I'm not going to pave the jungle for you. Put on some boots and learn how to deal with adversity. I'm not going to take all the weights out of the gym. That's the whole point of the gym. This is the gym. So obviously he's referring to a college campus and how, I guess, people are a little more sheltered in terms of, seeing the diversity and stuff. But I think that's something that I think should be implemented very early on. That way in colleges, it's not the first time you encounter someone of a different ethnicity or a different sexual orientation or a different something from you. And I think that doing it early on makes it more normalized for the rest of us. And therefore it just helps with society in general at a very, very, very young age. Now, again, if you were out of college already and you didn't have that experience, you can still definitely try to expand your mind and be more diverse in your life by doing a few of the other things, like trying to expand your mind in general. We will get into that later. Now, one thing that I didn't realize was so key in having international schooling at a very young age is that you get to know about a lot of things when it comes to the rest of the world, and you get to experience them at a very young age, and you get to see the reality of the situation before the media sort of distorts it for you. I think a lot of the time, the classic example is of the media where for example, Black people are sort of shown in the media as being, dangerous or, intimidating or also from the ghetto, quote unquote, or whatever. That kind of thing is sort of what is perpetuated in media. However, if you were to have had a very different experience in real life, you've seen Black people in your day-to-day lives, and that they're not like that, not all of them are like that, or most of them are not like that, then you would you would start to question those things, because obviously I see this real person in my day-to-day life, and yet what's being shown on TV is not that at all. Same way with other religions, other ethnicities, other races, and other people in general. I think it would definitely reduce the amount of discrimination that I think that we face in a day-to-day basis, because you see the reality of the situation, and those stereotypes and those harmful images are then perpetuated and to an extreme on TV. And then if you've never met someone like that, you start to believe that everyone is like that, when it's that's not the case at all. So I think it definitely definitely helps with a lot of the education and discrimination, and being immersed in that world is definitely something that is so key for helping with discrimination, I think. Secondly, also at the same time, when you are exposed and every culture is celebrated, or diversity is encouraged and stuff, and as a child, you start to understand that you are amazing. Your culture is amazing. Where you come from is amazing. Your skin tone, your religion, your being is just not something that is considered harmful or not considered bad, I guess, at the same time, If you are part of the majority, if you do conform with most of the people at your school, for example, you start to learn about other people and the other minority groups, for example, at your school, and you start to understand how their culture is different to yours, and how you can learn to accept it. On the same time, if you were part of the minority group and you are one of the odd ones out, for example, which I know that I definitely was growing up, a little bit, but I still remember that, I remember those cultural days that would come up where everyone would sort of talk about their experiences from their culture, their festivals, all that stuff. You start to realize how amazing your background is, and everyone else can see that too, and you see that for everyone else, and it's just a beautiful community of understanding and celebration, and not sort of, I guess, perpetuating the negative things that are happening in the media, because I think really like division and hatred towards one another is what the media sort of wants from us. And if we don't do that, they sort of seek out another thing to divide us on, and we don't want that anymore. I think that definitely like having a international or a diverse thing growing up, like having anything like growing up, like even if you are going to a city, if you live in a city or you're trying to engage with other people that are from different places, it just helps you with understanding other people as well as yourself. Like it's a lot of self-love and like learning how beautiful you are. Because I know that a lot of immigrants, for example, like a lot of my experience that I've had with other people in the United States, for example, they've had where like they were the odd one out. Everyone else was blonde or white or like with blue eyes, and they were not that at all. And because that wasn't sort of celebrated, you start to hate yourself a lot. And like, I know that I definitely had that as well experience, but like it's a really weird thing because like we shouldn't be made to feel like that just because we look different. And like I think I wish that was something that I had as a kid, to be told that, hey, like you're beautiful too. And like I definitely do attribute a lot of that to the international environment that I've sort of grown up in, and I feel like a lot of people would highly benefit from that. Okay, so now I understand that if you're not able to go to an international environment, or if you're not able to go to any of these schools, for example, another way is to obviously go to classes, like after school classes or after work or whatever, and try to engage in like learning about other cultures. A best way to go about doing this is literally going to like a language class, for example, like literally sign up for any language class, like for foreign languages, or like even like online, even like it's just like, it's so easy, and like you don't even have to go to this place for you to learn that language. If it's something that you just like love, like, or a place that you would love to go to or whatever, like just learn the language. There's no harm in like knowing a different language, and it's another party trick that you can definitely show off, or you can just like do it for your own self. It's just something that's so cool to me. I think like, and you can also learn a lot about the culture of a place by learning its language, like what they sort of value, what they sort of expect from its citizens. All that stuff is so key, and like it's just a fun time learning about different languages and stuff. Or like even like you don't even have to do like a foreign language class. Like it could be like anything, just like a place where you can meet other people that are like from different to you, which is I think something that's like so beneficial too if you are unable to go to like a school or something. Thirdly, like go to your nearest city, for example. Like most of the time, cities are a melting pot of like different cultures and different people, and like you're able to interact with them. Like obviously not right now with like COVID and stuff, but like once this stuff is over, like whenever that happens, definitely be able to go to like a city that like close to you, and like try to just like go to like different restaurants or like different just like random like different parts of the city, like for example like a Chinatown or a Koreatown or like a Middle Eastern town or like anything like that. Like just go to there and like just like explore, because it may be so different to like what you've experienced, and it is enlightening for sure. Lastly, not lastly, we've got a few more points, don't worry. We've got travel, like if you're able to do that too, like definitely travel outside of your comfort zone, outside of your, maybe outside of your state. If you've never done that, like outside of your state or whatever, go to a different state, like find out like how diverse even your own country can be, I definitely have experienced that. Like I love doing that. Like don't even have to go on a plane. You could like literally take a road trip or, bike if you like that, or like, literally anything. Like public transport is great too. Literally just travel outside of your city, outside of your town, out of your state or whatever, even if you're able to outside of the country or your continent, whatever. Travel is such an eye-opening experience, especially if you're doing it by yourself, like, but also like be safe, definitely guys. Travel is a big eye opener. Like it really makes you like be part of a community that is different to yours. Now, again, I do have to remind you that like if you are traveling, to make sure that to understand that you are the one in another person's environment. They're not in yours. And so you have to be the one that's respectful to the other cultures or like other people's land or wherever you are at. Like you have to be sort of, I guess you have to be a little more respectful for wherever you are at. So like that's definitely something but it's so eye-opening. It really opens your eyes to the world and how people live and how people interact with one another, the different cultures, different like geography, all of that. It's just such an eye-opening experience. Okay, now lastly, And the easiest way, something that you can do from literally the comfort of your own home, is to try to diversify the media that you are consuming. Now, this can be in the form of books, it can be in the form of TV shows, it can be in the form of movies, it can be in the form of like podcasts, it can be literally anything, like form of like books, magazines, anything, like any kind of media that you are consuming. Try to diversify it. Look at, or like even like news sources, for example. Like you can look at a different places, books or movies, all that. Like I've definitely tried to do that a lot more this year, because I know that I would like to experience like things from like a different person's point of view. I've recently started watching K-dramas as well as listening to K-pop, because of the it's blown up the past couple of years. But like I thought I would get into it because like I would love to travel to Korea one day and see like what that's like, and like how different it is from my culture or the culture from someone else. It's something that's so like cool. As well at the same time, like looking at maybe like Middle Eastern things, or Asian or African or East Asian, South Asian, American, Latin America, any of those kind of things is just like such a good idea for you to sort of just like interact with. It's a good idea. Last but not least, one thing that I do have to mention is that although I have had a pretty diverse like upbringing, I definitely know that I haven't had like a overall overarching diverse experience, which I definitely am leaning into now that I've grown up and become an adult, or quote unquote, is to like one way that I feel like I haven't had that much of a diverse experience is in terms of socioeconomic backgrounds. I know that I haven't had to interact with people of maybe different socioeconomic classes in the world, or for example, as well as like neurodiversity. I haven't had that experience yet, and something that I'm actively reaching out for now. And like obviously in like other ways too, there's probably other ways that I haven't had a very diverse experience, but I'm definitely trying to learn more about the world and try to do that. So I think there's no right way to diversify your life, your mind, and your mindset or anything. But I think the fact that you're trying to do that is a one step in the right direction, which is just becoming a global citizen, as you will say, or just becoming a person of the world, and I think that's something that we all need in today's day and age with social media and globalization. And especially if you like want to grow in today's world, like especially if you're working or if you're anything like that, like growing up in like a more international, neurodiverse, like just diverse in general, like world is so key, so that we get to understand one another, the people that we meet on a day-to-day basis, as well as meeting I guess like thinking about people in the media, people thinking on the news, anything, like you get to have a better understanding of where they're coming from. And it definitely helps a lot with even within yourself as well. It helps you to better understand yourself as well as your culture and all that. So I definitely highly recommend. I definitely think that having more of an international or like more of a diverse mindset is so key in today's day and age. And so, yeah, I hope you guys will this week find something that, you can grow your mind with, something that you can diversify something in your life. And I feel like that's all I have to say. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing day. Please make sure to subscribe, follow, comment, all of that jazz. Follow me on Instagram at Chai and Matcha. And until next time, bye.